In light of our two main candidates' marvelous showings in the last debate, I feel compelled to offer my services to the country in that regard. Uh, and although previously I've identified as a Republican, I am willing to accept the nomination as Democrat. I think Mr. Biden is probably the most likely to be removed from this race, if you can call it a race. And although I'm a Republican, I'm a bit of a centrist. A few of my views probably don't meet bulk, the mainstream of either of the parties. So I think that's the best course of action. But my two main concerns right now for our country are balancing our budget and strengthening our borders. I think we're headed for some problems with our budget, and we do need to handle that scenario. We can't really increase our borrowing anymore, and we're in fact going to need to orchestrate a soft landing. Um, so, in terms of the budget, the excess in budget is largely correlated with a gap in trade, and we will need to handle both of those. We can handle them both in concert, since they are approximately one and the same. And of course, we definitely need to reform our concerns with immigration and the border. So we're going to have to address that scenario with a lot of zeal. Some other reforms are we need to cut back on social assistance, which includes welfare and disability abuse. So if we crack down a little bit on that abuse, welfare itself is quite a pernicious incentive, and I think it's causing us a lot of trouble, so we do need to address that. We need to strengthen our borders, eliminate illegal border crossings, and perhaps we could implement some temporary work permits for migrant labor and make sure that those migrants go back home when they're finished their term. And in fact, I believe we probably need to cut back on our H-1Bs also. That's quite an exorbitant, and my experiences in his industry is that they are not that fundamental to our process, our industry. So we need to continue to encourage business in the U.S. for companies to do business in the U.S., though I believe that should be incentivized and disincentivized by not by personal petitions to any specific company, but just by adjustment of the playing field that we're working with. We have taxes coming from income from individuals and corporations. Perhaps we can add more import duties for certain things, but not too much. We don't need to start trade wars. And we all like getting things from countries that have comparative advantage for much of the things we purchase. But we do need to balance the trade deficit, because that is largely the cause of our budget deficit. And in contrast with Mr. Trump's ideology, we do need to maintain a strong presence outside of the U.S. And of course, that is a major part of our budget. And considering our role in the world and our status in the world, it's rational that we mean that is a fundamental service of our government itself, though people like to complain about it. Another issue I'm concerned with are the EPA reforms. We have some problems with how we handle disposals and recycling. They're a bit irrational at this time, and we need to adjust those so we don't build up any more trash mountains, and we're not wasting too much money trying to recycle things that can be used in another way besides a long drawn out process of recycling. I do believe we should enable alternative energy, but I think that the reforms that the dole given to electric vehicle sellers needs to end. I think that's going a little bit too far, and they're very, very large sums, and these companies are selling a lot of vehicles, so it's a lot of money. The way that we can encourage that is by building out the grid, perhaps into places where solar panels make sense, and other things. There are incentives for producing ethanol and putting it in our gasoline, I know, so I probably wouldn't do away with those myself. And also, finally, there's some issues with information technology that need reforms, and that is the security reforms. My experiences in the information technology industry are that they are very lax and not elaborate enough to deliver the promises of the Privacy Act and other security metrics you might expect from the information technology industry and how they handle our data. So, and then another issue, of course, is the privacy reforms in that, and protecting our rights to privacy. Our government tends to be a little overstepping their bounds in terms of introspecting in data, and some of this is in the interest of anti-terrorism, but they're certainly going too far, and I know they're collecting data they probably shouldn't. But anyway, there needs to be an overall all-encompassing reform of security and privacy in the information and technology industry. So these are the main issues that I feel need to be attended to in the upcoming 4 years, and you need somebody who's smart enough and has studied enough to handle that stuff. And I don't believe that you're going to get that with the two mainstream candidates, so you need another choice. And I believe that choice is me.